Love is a many splendid thing. Love lifts us up where we belong. All you need is love.
Please don't start that again.
All you need is love.
A girl has got to eat.
All you need is love.
She'll end up on the street.
All you need is love.
Love is just a game. Hey, speaking of, do you think that little baby Cupid could have made it to the Olympic Games in archery?
Never thought about it. Sure. He was a god.
Stupid Cupid, stop picking on me. Did you know this about Cupid? Cupid had 2 arrows. One was gold and very sharp, and it made you fall in love.
Right. We know this one.
But he also had a blunt arrow that made you be repulsed by the other person.
Oh.
I wish he'd used that arrow to get more people repulsed by plastic waste.
Cupid?
If you're listening,
If you're one of our listeners, you know what to do.
let's get straight to the point. This year, we're aiming to take the waste out of Valentine's Day.
It's going to take all of us working together to hit our target for a more sustainable holiday.
But we're here to help you get a shot through the heart without giving love or the planet a bad name. One can hope.
Does anybody know what time it is?
It's fact time!
Approximately 145 million Valentine's Day cards are exchanged industry-wide, not including the packaged kids' Valentines for like classroom exchanges and things, making Valentine's Day the second largest holiday for giving greeting cards.
After Christmas, I guess.
Yes, after Christmas.
According to the National Retail Federation, the average person celebrating Valentine's Day spent $165 in 2021. Wait, 2021, that was my first Valentine's Day with my husband. I'm going to tell you all about it later because it was fun. It was a good date.
All right, I'm excited to hear about it. Mm-hmm. Did you spend $165?
I didn't spend anything. But he might have.
Sounds like a great Valentine's Day.
I don't remember if I spent anything. He spent it could I don't know what he spent, but it was great.
All right.
Worth it.
Well, great.
Worth every penny. Let's just say Cupid used his golden sharp arrow on me.
Great. And you still have the scar to prove it. I also am scarred.
Emotionally?
A video by Waste 360 showed that on Valentine's Day, U.S. citizens buy 36 million heart-shaped boxes, 198 million roses, 881,000 bottles of sparkling wine, and 58 million pounds of chocolate. I want to be clear here. I really like chocolate, but 58 million pounds is excessive.
I'm picturing the kid from Matilda shoving the chocolate cake in his face, but it's all chocolate candy.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, finally, in the U.S., 80% of cut flowers are imported from foreign countries. The International Council on Clean Transportation estimates that flights importing flowers burn approximately 114 million liters of fuel, emitting approximately 360,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
And that's all so that we can get roses.
Well, cut flowers in general, but that includes roses for Valentine's Day.
Too bad they don't have aeroplanes. Cupid.
Another name for Cupid is arrows.
Be more sustainable.
That's really good. Love is timeless, but Valentine's Day as we know it has a pretty fascinating backstory.
From ancient rituals to modern consumerism, let's explore how this holiday came to be and how we can celebrate it more sustainably. All right, let's journey back to ancient Rome, where on February 15th every year, there was a celebration of fertility and purification called Lupercalia.
Lupercalia.
Just rolls off the tongue. During this celebration, young men run around the streets with goat hides, slapping women and land in order to make it fertile. Don't know.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, right? Of course, I don't know why they don't still do that.
I've seen that recommended for infertility. Have you tried the goat hide slapping?
That's the answer to desertification of our farmlands.
Eros, Cupid, was one of the only elements of Lupercalia to survive the transition into Christianity.
Which is usually associated with Valentine's Day because of Saint Valentine.
Right. But this is why he looks like more of a cherub in modern day depictions.
My understanding is that I can't remember if it was Roman or Greek mythology, that he's more considered like a hottie with a body. Maybe he had wings. I don't really know.
And I think that is the terminology they used, hottie with a body.
Yeah, very, very ancient definition there. But now we know him more as this adorable little cherub.
Yeah, this cutie little butterball.
A cutie with a booty.
And it seems like Christianity has a few different Saint Valentines, so no one's entirely sure who inspired the name Valentine's Day.
We were getting mixed signals when we were doing some research on Valentine's Day. There's a little confusion about whether there were 3 Saint Valentines in the Catholic Church or what, but the general consensus is that Saint Valentine is attributed to the eventual naming of Valentine's Day. And it has something to do with the naming of his feast day being around the same time as the Lupercalia festival.
Whoever was in charge was outlawing young marriages because he felt like single soldiers were more effective in battle.
Right. And so that Saint Valentine was still going through with marrying people who were in love.
Yeah. But then he was martyred. Quit marrying these kids. I'm trying to win a war over here.
Then you move on to the medieval times, and courtly love becomes more of a thing. So like wooing and...
Oh, not like basketball court?
So yeah, you get courtly love in poetry and the works of Chaucer. And so this really cements Valentine's Day as a day of romance.
It is wild that it made it this far.
You got to have that day to celebrate love.
Yeah, because
You have to have
you shouldn't
the day.
be doing it every day.
You have to have the day to tell men, hey, you should maybe do something nice today.
Why don't you go ahead and show some affection one day a year?
But then if we come to what we now recognize as Valentine's Day, where it's the modern kind of commercialization, we learn about Esther Allen Howland.
That's a mouthful.
It's not the easiest name to say. She was the daughter of a man who owned the largest stationery shop in Worcester, Massachusetts. Shortly after graduating from college, she gets a Valentine from her dad's colleague.
Okay. Had he made it or purchased it?
I think he had purchased it from overseas because that's where most of the really nice Valentines had been made.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't ask him. There's no real account.
What were his intentions with this Valentine?
It's murky. But so she sees it and she's like, hold my beer. And she asks her dad.
I like this girl.
She asks her dad to get some really beautiful papers and everything. So she sets up a whole assembly line to create these really gorgeous, elaborate Valentines out of lace and like folding paper and little scrap pieces of pictures and whatnot. She pays them all really well.
Who's in the assembly line?
Just like women who could work from home.
Cool.
I know.
A real girl's girl.
Yeah, so she is kind of credited as the mother of the modern Valentine.
That's pretty fun. And you know I love a DIY.
I know, I'm kind of thinking like, that would have been a really fun job to have. Though you are only able to do the designs that she makes up.
Oh,
and they all have to be
specific.
exact. Yeah, because it was, being mass produced in that way. They initially weren't expecting them to do well, and it like exceeded the father's expectations pretty majorly.
It must have, because look at where Valentines are today.
Right?
Can you imagine getting a beautiful handmade card with lace and all
Locks
that?
of hair.
What?
Well,
Sorry, what?
So she also had like little pockets or like hidden doors on the cards where you could put locks of hair and
Teeth.
I don't think teeth were a thing.
I mean,
Secret messages, stuff like that.
did she put the things in the pockets, or that was for the
that was for the people who
purchaser?
were
Oh.
yes.
You put a little token of your affection.
All her workers come out of the assembly line. They're bald
And toothless.
That's a Valentine's Day picture.
Happy Valentine's Day. Whose hair is this? I don't know who made this. I just bought it. So jump to the 1900s when Hallmark jumps on this gravy train.
They're like, ooh, there's some money to be made in greeting cards.
And not just greeting cards. In the 1860s, Richard Cadbury from the famous Cadbury chocolates introduced the first heart-shaped box of chocolates.
We all know what happened after that.
That solidified the heart-shaped box of chocolates in the Valentine's Day traditions.
So now chocolate is synonymous with Valentine's Day.
Correct.
And chocolates aren't the only thing synonymous with Valentine's Day. You think of the little heart-shaped candies that have the little sayings on them like XOXO or Be
Right.
Mine. But I thought this was really fascinating. They used to have much longer phrases on them, like, how long shall I have to wait? Please be considerate.
How did they fit that? They must have been bigger.
I have no idea. I just saw that and I was like, well, that is perfect.
That's a lot. That's really funny. The sayings on those candy hearts are kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So you could really, like, where were you when I came over on Thursday?
I also love to think that like you had that generation that was like really like superfluous with their Valentines.
Very
and
eloquent.
then you like skip down to now it's like LOL,
Right?
MFEO.
And they use like letter C, U, later.
Yeah. Real poets these days.
So back in 2021, my very first Valentine's Day with my now husband. Now we had met in the previous March, so we were together about a year at this point. But he took me to an archery class because it was
Cupid.
like we're shooting Cupid's arrows.
Y'all are so thematic.
It was so cute. And it was really fun. We had a great time. But we weren't necessarily trying to be sustainable at this point
Sure.
or low waste. But I think it's such a perfect example of a way to have an eco-conscious Valentine's Day, doing an activity
Experience.
instead of giving things.
Yeah, we always talk about that.
And honestly, the memory is so much better. Like, I remember Valentine's Day that year. I cannot tell you a single other Valentine's Day in my life.
I have no memories of Valentine's Days at all, except like whenever I was maybe playing a Valentine's Day show.
Is that because your husband is lame?
No, it is because my husband's amazing. And we know that Valentine's Day is just kind of a random holiday that doesn't really matter for us.
That's how we feel now.
My husband wouldn't have been the guy that needed to know that, oh, this is the day of the year you do something nice.
Right. But I do appreciate a theme and...
You?
Guilty! And I can understand wanting to celebrate it. And even though we show love every day, I think it's fun to do just a little extra emphasis.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm just a major killjoy. Like, I don't want...
You are zero fun.
I am the worst.
Zero. Low waste and low fun.
All the time.
But imagine you do a cooking class together.
Oh, we have done a cooking class. Just not for Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. But I mean, these are options that you could do. Or maybe you just go for a hike together to your favorite lookout, Smooch Point.
Your smooch point.
And you kiss at the top.
Yeah. Or you have a little picnic somewhere. Walk in the garden.
There are so many activities you can do together. Find a common interest. You could play a board game.
I couldn't.
And if your love language is physical gifts, or if your partner's love language is physical gifts, there are ways to make that low waste or environmentally friendly, like choosing fair trade chocolates, or instead of cut flowers, maybe you give a potted plant.
That's my jam.
You love a potted plant.
Well, yeah, because I feel like cut flowers are just going to die. And they're beautiful and everything, but you give me a potted plant, I can put that in the garden or I can keep it alive in my house.
That's your love
That's
language?
my love language. I don't want the one and done.
Right.
Except for having a baby.
Okay.
Well, he only beat me with a goat hide once.
I don't. Maybe some locally sourced or secondhand jewelry. There's some beautiful antique. Think like a locket would be so cute.
Oh, yeah.
Or a nice ring.
Absolutely. It's funny because you're saying all these things and these are things that he's given me, just never on Valentine's Day.
Right. Finally, what if you actually wrote a thoughtful letter? And I think this holds so much more weight than simply telling your partner how you feel about them, because those words are forever and you can go back to them again and again and again.
Yeah, actually, this reminds me whenever my husband and I first started dating, he was living in Los Angeles and I was in Austin. And we wrote letters to each other back and forth. And we still have those letters. And it's such a nice way to hold on to memories. And maybe our daughter will read them one day. But it's a way to extend the day and the love beyond just that day.
That's nice. Maybe I should print out all the texts my husband and I have sent each other.
Mm-hmm.
So my kids have something to read.
What's
Sup,
for
girl?
dinner?
You up? Like just to hang out. Wasn't being weird.
Okay. You're always weird.
And let's not act like Valentine's is only for romantic relationships.
Heck no.
These
For
days,
the friends too?
yeah, you can do Galentines or Palentines.
Yep.
Or Valenstein.
What's Valentine?
I'm picturing
You
like,
go with your beer buddies?
that's funny too. I was picturing like Cupid and Frankenstein mixed.
Oh, like a scary Valentine's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like maybe it goes to a horror love movie.
Okay. Weird. At my shop, we actually had a hobby fair where it was Find Your Love. We invited different leaders from like a knitting group or a mahjong group or a book club or all these different, like an a cappella group, and then invited the community members to come and just talk to different leaders to figure out if they had common interests or anything like that, that they could start participating in a new passion.
That's so fun.
It was a great way to find members in the community that had similar interests to you, and also to be introduced to things that you never would have known existed in your area.
Wow. And you know what else I really like about a hobby fair idea is that it is so hard to make friends as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And this is such a cool way to go mingle and see who else has your similar interests.
Yeah, with zero pressure.
Right.
It was almost like speed dating for hobbies.
I would do that. I have plenty of hobbies, but what's a couple more? I've got time.
Right, you got plenty of hobbies and time.
And let's not forget that giving Valentine cards is still a popular thing to do.
It's actually kind of a requirement once you hit school age.
Maybe we take a page from Esther Allen Howland's book
And put our hair in them.
and upcycle. Not so much with parts of your body or teeth, but maybe some other.
Teeth was not a thing. That was maybe for Valentine's.
But maybe you use some materials you already have to make a Valentine. Or you could do something fun like you could use junk mail to make seed paper. So you take junk mail and make it into little tiny pieces. You could put it in an old blender, pulp it up, and then add some native wildflower seeds.
Oh, to make like a little plantable Valentine?
Yeah, a little seed paper plantable Valentine. And you say like, you make my heart bloom. I love watching our friendship grow. If it's more romantic, you say, I want to plant one on you.
Oh, I like it. That's cute.
Yeah. Or Remember how we talked about making hand warmers
Yeah.
a few episodes back?
Yes.
You could probably pretty easily, especially if you're sewing with a machine, whip up some hand warmers for your friends and say like, you warm my heart.
Yeah.
They could be in a heart shape.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
Who's got the time? Who's making these for me? Spoiler alert, it's you. And then there's always self-love.
Oh, so important.
It is so important. And it's easy to do if you take the time to do it. Something as simple as unplugging for a day and just not looking at your phone.
Yeah, or treat yourself.
With like a spa day.
Sure. Why not? You could do an at-home spa day.
Oh yeah, a little sugar scrub or like a face mask with some colloidal oatmeal, rose clay.
Yeah, maybe you
Honey.
take a nap.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Right?
Best gift.
I would love that.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I'm asking for Valentine's. Hey, husband.
Hey, self. Oh.
If you could just not bother me so I could sleep.
Valentine's Day becomes where just everyone's sleeping.
I'm kidding. He's actually been amazing getting up early with the boys who wake up at 5:30 so I can get a little extra rest.
Oh, good.
Because I'm taking care of this baby.
Yeah, the one in your belly.
In the belly.
Valentine's Day does have a few misconceptions. Things like flowers are natural, so giving them is clearly eco-friendly because they're compostable and whatnot. But as we briefly touched on earlier, they aren't really eco-friendly. Unless you're giving native flowers, the amount of resources needed to get those flowers to the one you love is hurting the planet you love. But roses weren't always synonymous with Valentine's Day. It used to be that the bouquet that you would receive had all sorts of hidden messages. So depending on what flowers you got, it meant different things.
Each flower had a different meaning. You mean like if you got a daisy, that might mean you're my best friend. But if you got a marigold, that would mean like I'm romantically interested in you. That kind of thing?
Yeah, like that kind of a thing.
How
Almost like,
fun.
you know how there
That's
was
like-
like fan language where like, you know how
Oh,
you've
yes.
heard of fan language where like you were at a party and like certain fan movements meant different things.
How fun.
Yeah, it's
a
like
whole
decoding.
escape room every time you get.
But yeah, you were limited to the flowers that were easily and readily picked in your area. So I guess it was like a different language almost depending on where you lived. And honestly, like if you were in Pennsylvania, I don't know what flowers you're getting.
For Valentine's,
You're getting some holly berries,
you're
maybe some crocus.
some pine needles. There are a few. I'm trying to picture some of the wildflowers in my backyard that they're no longer flowering, but you can tell which ones are coneflowers.
Just get a bunch of dead coneflowers. Happy Valentine's
Some pine
Day.
cones.
That clearly means they want you.
Did you see what Richard brought? A whole bushel of pine cones.
There's no way Gertrude can say no once I present her with these luscious green juniper branches. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. We hope it was sweet and satisfying.
Remember, love is like sustainability. It's all about small, meaningful actions that make a big difference.
Now go forth, spread love, plant wildflowers, and maybe skip the goat hide slapping rituals, okay?
And this year we'll stop overconsumption in the name of love.
One can hope.